What is up, YouTube fam? Robbie C here, and I want to know, does your forehand currently look like this? Well, if so, then keep watching because we got a special treat for you today. But before we dive in, we got to ask the most important question of the day.
Last time I said hi to Ryan, but I'm gonna say hi to Nani this time.
Hi, Nani. Hope you're having a good one.
So catch me if I fall.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Abby Dowling. Today, we're going to be building a strength for you. You threw a forehand during the intro, and I think people might go like, was it staged? Was it not staged? What was going through your head when you threw that forehand?
When I threw that forehand, it looks about 90% of the forehands that I throw when I'm really trying to play.
Okay.
I either, cut it too sharp so it turns into a roller, or I don't throw it hard enough. And usually it just wobbles out of my hand. Like I can't get the grip right, I can't get the angle right, I just can't throw forehands.
Okay. So that's what we want to talk about today. We got a couple drills we're going to do. I brought a bag of discs to try. We're going to do some drills, get you used to throwing some forehands, get used to different things with discs that aren't yours, and then try to take those same principles and see how they're applying to the discs that you have in your bag.
Makes sense.
Okay, ready to dive in?
Yeah.
Let's do this. All right, let's talk grip. When you do forehand, what do you normally forehand?
I originally, just whatever the most recent person has shown me.
Okay.
Whatever the grip was. At first it was something like this.
Okay.
Which I know is, I think, how some people throw it.
Yep.
And then I recently shifted to like...
The power. Okay.
Yeah.
I would say the two most common grips, stack, fingers being up like so, and then power is what she was showing for the other one, which is that sort of index finger curled in. This is Nate Sexton. This is his preferred grip. So one of the first things that we want to address on the idea of the forehand is not necessarily how you're gripping the disc, because I like both of these. We don't want to take your husband's approach, which is wrong.
I think I won't put him on blast.
Oh, I will. Like so. No fingers inside the rim. Don't worry, he's next. We're coming for you, Ryan. We're doing your lesson next on forehand. So we want to have a finger on the inside of the rim. But a lot of people, I really need to find out what the name of this part of your finger is, but the pad that's on there, right? So a lot of people will go finger all the way on the flight plate, or they go all the way on the rim. We want to live in that middle ground. We want to put like in that crevice between the two. That's where we want to be. The reason for this is, even when you showed me the stack grip, you lined it up with pad fully on the flight plate. And when you do this power grip, the temptation is usually the opposite, where you have it all on the rim. And so if it's all on the rim, when I go to fire the wrist, it's going to pull it down more naturally, because my wrist, when I'm all on the rim, you can see my wrist is already positioned in like a rolling state. And if I'm all on the flight plate, it's a lot harder to get power included in it. So we want that nice middle ground. So that's first change. Second change, we're going to talk about firing the wrist, because you said you don't have enough spin. So I have a drill that I like to do. For those who've been watching the channel for a long time, they're going to be familiar with the chair drill. This is a drill that I love to tell people to use when they're learning a forehand. So let's grab a chair. The idea of a forehand is that a lot of times you want to use like all arm to throw a forehand, right? That is not where the power is coming from out of a forehand. Power out of a forehand is the arm is adding to it, but the wrist firing is our key. So how do we isolate the wrist? What we're going to do is you're going to set your elbow on the chair. You can even, I like this one because it's cup holder, so you can kind of even set it in the cup holder, so that way it's nice and contained. We're going to bring the wrist back, and we're literally just going to fire the wrist here in a second. I'm going to move the camera out of the way.
Oh, so I'm actually throwing the disc. You're
going to actually throw the disc. We're going to pull the disc back. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That makes it way easier for me to retrieve it.
So you said middle of the, my finger needs to go in the middle.
The pad is in that crevice, and you're pulling it back. That's a lot. That is literally twice as far, Abby. Okay. Okay, so what I want you to this time, I want you to focus on go hard with it. So pull the wrist. I want smoothness we're gonna need as we like go on, but I wanna see a couple where you're just like
Okay, it's gonna turn into a roller, I think.
That's fine.
I feel like I'm like using my arm too, like I'm cheating.
It is a little cheating, but that's fine. It is, the idea of this drill is a little bit of isolation, but it's not like it's not a law of absolutes.
Oops, that one didn't count.
That was better, okay.
I can tell when I spin it off my index finger versus when I don't.
Yeah. Because where you're probably getting the shorter shots is where it's coming off of your index finger versus your middle finger. We want it off the middle finger because that's
I think that's what I meant.
Yeah. That's great.
So
the best part about the chair drill, ladies and gentlemen, is it also functions as a stool when you move on to the later parts of the field work. Next, we're going to talk about what are you like when you think about having a forehand. Obviously, I don't think you're thinking about walking up 300-foot holes and being like, I hope I can forehand this hole tomorrow, because your backhand's not even there yet. So like, that's not, I think people try to shoot for the stars, and not only shoot for the stars, I think they try to land in the stars right off the bat for this. We're looking for a functional forehand 150 feet and in. Because thinking about holes where that would be super helpful. Let's look at Gardendale hole 11. It's a forehand hole. If you could just throw a smooth forehand 150 feet out there, it's a pitch into the green, easy 3, as opposed to right now where it's like, I gotta throw this wonky backhand turnover, hope it goes okay, hope it doesn't cut roll, hope it doesn't go too straight and go in the water. Like, there's just a lot of variables with it, right?
And I'm not even that bad at like turnover shots, but there are some shots like we're talking about 11 where a turnover just doesn't work.
There's also moments where you're, just like in the intro, you're in the woods and you just literally can't throw a backhand turnover. Like, it's just not there. So you have to have this moment, and that's probably terrifying because you know that if I'm playing for score, like my husband's got me by a stroke, I've got to throw the scramble shot.
I've got to beat Brian.
And then I just threw this roller straight in the ground, and now it's like, ugh, what am I doing, right? Like, that's tough. So we want 150 feet. That's the goal. So how do we get 150 feet? Most often, when you're throwing the scramble shot, you're gonna have room to step out and throw like some form of a hyzer. What we wanna try to create is, you mentioned, I don't know if we're recording this moment, but you said something, I said I brought a bunch of zones because you currently forehand a zone, and you said that it was creating bad habits.
Because I know that I can chop it a little bit and then will overcorrect for me.
Correct. So when we learn overstable first, it really limits our ability to throw the other stuff. But if we go the opposite side and we learn understable, then we can throw overstable discs on a hyzer. People do it all the time. If we throw understable discs on a hyzer, they want to stand up and move left for right-handed players, but we're throwing them on hyzer, which makes them want to go really far right. So it's a cheat code for simple, easy distance on a forehand. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by throwing spike hyzers with flippy discs.
Okay.
So the key here is you're going to think about firing the wrist, rotating off that finger point, because what most people try to do when they do this exercise is they bring that arm, now that the chair's not blocking it, they bring that arm right back into play, and then they're just like, hey, it's not going anywhere. So we want to come through, we want to load the wrist, we want to come through and fire up.
Okay.
And I want these things trying to go straight up and straight down.
Okay. And we're not worried about my feet or anything right now.
Not worried about your feet or anything right now.
So we're just get my grip.
Whatever your natural. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That came out on hyzer. It did what it was supposed to. Let's try to
Maybe
go for a little more
release.
height.
Okay.
Yeah.
So cock the wrist. Releasing early. Okay, it's fine. I got this.
So think about your aiming point to fire is about right here.
Okay. Wait.
This height.
Okay.
That's better. That's a lot better. Okay.
Maybe I did need your hand.
Okay. So right now, one of the things I'll go ahead and stop is you're coming back flat and then trying to come up underneath it. Like at the last set, you're coming through flat, and then at the last second, you're trying to go like whoop whoop. So just think about it. Swing low, sweet chariot. Like we are straight up and down, fire the wrist. Yeah, so there, that was all arm, no wrist firing at all. That's why it didn't go anywhere. It followed the track of the arm.
Okay.
So
now I'm just
slow down, because that's the thing is on this, if we can't slow down, the arm gets too caught up in the motion, and then now my wrist is broken, so I don't have time to fire it because it's slipping off of my hand. That honestly, Abby, is perfect. That is her farthest throw yet. Now, was it a million miles to the left? It sure was, but you fired the wrist.
Yeah.
Better. That's a shot right there. How'd that feel?
Better.
Quick pause. Do you know why it worked?
Well, so I think I was fighting what you were asking me to do because it doesn't feel like I'm throwing a disc. Like it just feels like I'm like playing catch or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think that's what I was supposed to do.
Yeah, that is
I was
exactly.
fighting it. I didn't want to do that. It was like, that's not disc golf.
Okay, this is perfect. Like it seems so silly, right? Because it's like these aren't doing anything. But if we can get this motion, if you can be throwing discs and getting them to fly in a forward motion in this shape, that sets us up for the future here in a minute of getting it to go from this shape to this shape.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can't fire the wrist here, when we bring it to flat and then we suddenly figure out firing the wrist, that's how we're gonna turn everything over.
Yeah.
Too fast on the arm. And so I'm gonna come back here and hold again.
Mm-hmm.
Follow through with your hand. Instead of coming through, because like right now you're kind of like stopping the motion right here.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Follow through all the way through my hand. That's phenomenal. You feel the difference in that, like just sending it?
I think so.
No, see there you could tell.
Yeah.
You stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's still a really good amount of hyzer, and these are that's a zone that you're throwing there, so it's going to be overstable. Are you okay? Did you hit your face?
No.
That is impressive, ladies and gentlemen. Side guy, run it back. That is.
Thank you.
It is.
Super got caught on my finger.
Recycled ESP. Respect, Abby. That was
talent,
good.
yeah.
That's a short right there.
Don't try that one at home. That's for professionals.
Perfect.
That one felt good.
That looked fantastic. And notice you came through, you hit, and like everything, your body knows what it wants to do. And so we're just getting stops out of the way for it to fire. Okay. Feeling good about this?
Yeah, I think it's starting to get a little better.
Let's see what the 1, 2, 3, 24 steps. So that's 72 feet.
Cool.
This is halfway. If I told you were gonna throw 72-foot forehands with an inner core this morning, would you believe me?
Yeah, I have all the faith that you can teach me well, Robbie.
All right, perfect. What are your thoughts so far on that drill?
Drills hurt my hand a little bit.
Okay.
I can start to feel starting to feel.
fatigue.
Yeah, and also like when it releases off, it's like pushing against that part of my hand. But I'm just being a baby. I could definitely start to tell the difference. I could tell when it spun off of my finger and when I didn't, stop my motion and used my wrist. I could definitely see the improvement just from those few that we threw.
Okay, so what we're gonna do now is the idea is that eventually when you had it, so you already had the point of that drill is to what you were saying in terms of feeling the other two things and like a longer looking throw and a more normal throw is probably the better way to put it. The other thing that we wanted to focus on is being able to get the disc to fly smooth on the plane we're putting it on. So what I mean by that is that when you were trying to throw like straight up and down, I wanted disc to be flying straight up and down because that was the goal. Because a forehand is just that same flight, like a long distance forehand is that same smooth flight, but I'm coming across sideways versus vertical. So what we want to learn is the breaking point for when I have a disc down here to up here, at what point does this disc start turning all the way over. And you can, with any disc, I don't care how overstable it is, there's a moment that I overturn the wrist and I fire and it pulls it offline. So what we're gonna try to do here is we're gonna try to go for a nice middle ground. I don't want them flat yet, but I don't want them on hyzer. Like, I don't want them on steep hyzer. I want them like a nice 45-degree middle ground.
Okay.
And we're gonna see, because maybe for some people, they really struggle to get the wrist firing on that real up and down motion. So hopefully here, this will let you feel like you've got a little more oomph behind it. But we will not be throwing zones in this section. So
you want
45 degrees.
Okay.
So that's flat.
Yeah. Okay. So if it's down, so we're wanting it to still come up a little bit?
Yeah. So you're trying to draw on this line.
Okay. Okay. So not.
Yeah. So we were doing this line before. We don't want this line. We want.
Okay.
And think if for some people it helps thinking about just tracing that line.
Yeah.
And as I come through, I'm drawing that stroke. And then once I feel my wrist like this is uncomfortable, that's when I pop and send it. That was better. That was better. How'd that feel?
I feel like I used my shoulder. Was I supposed to do that?
Sure. I don't think it's bad.
Okay.
These look a lot smoother. Do they feel smoother?
Yeah. I can feel it spinning off my middle finger.
Yeah. So theory was correct on this. This feels a little more natural than the straight up and down. Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, and that was a lot more arm. We want to make sure that we're still hitting the wrist. We want that wrist to fire. Yeah. I'll say you cannot have too much wrist. Okay. You see how smooth these are coming out?
Yeah.
Like this is easy. What I want you to do is all of these are going pretty far right. I want you to try to throw one on hyzer, basically, like, because this is what I mean, that's the shape you're trying to throw right now, right? Like it's coming out on hyzer. So I want you to try to throw at those trees.
Okay.
And get it to fade to the trash can. Better.
Too far right. Or
No,
left.
that's not too far left. That's fine.
It's not. Okay.
You're throwing understable discs, so they're not going to fade. Because see, that did fade. This shot shape that you're trying to throw would be a lot easier if you were throwing zones. If we were actually trying to hit the target. Whereas that time you can tell your wrist didn't fire. That's fantastic.
Just came out with you.
Okay. So on these next several, I want you to, before you fire, cock the wrist back a little bit. So instead of thinking that mid-throw, I have to figure out how to get my wrist backwards, before you even throw. So right now you're doing this. You're here, and then mid-throw, your wrist is breaking to then fire again. Which is why sometimes when it breaks, it never catches up to actually fire and come through. Because you can see how much more dramatic of a motion this is to this. So what I want you to do is, instead of starting with your wrist flat and strong, start here.
Okay.
Because you know that if this wrist is in this position and I go to throw it, this is gonna be terrible. So you have to fire the hand.
Like that? Like you're wanting me to
Correct.
actively keep it like that? Okay.
Correct. Well,
And then, but
during the throw, yes,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
gonna actually fire it. But we're starting in a position that says I have to fire versus I may or may not, just depending on what happens. Yes. You see how much more power that came out with?
I think so.
Little grip lock there. Little grip lock. It's a roller. Okay. Same exercise at the trees.
Right.
Yes. How'd that feel?
Good?
That felt good. It looked good. Yep. We're cooking now. That's what we got left. Okay, let's see. We're gonna go from the throwing point. Okay, 9, 30, 31. This one's 93 feet,
Oh, cool.
but I don't think it was our farthest. I think our farthest is over there. It was our farthest. It was 28. So this was almost 90. One of the things, and I was just saying this off camera, it's not like any of this is like, oh man, like so genius. How do you ever come up with this? Like, it's very straightforward. It's a very simple process. And it just takes time and reps of like practicing this over and over again. But hopefully after this set, you at least have something where you're stepping out, you know your misses when it comes to this. So like what we're gonna try here is we're gonna try several shots of firing the wrist, making sure that it's doing what it's supposed to, but also like we wanna give these a little bit of height.
Okay.
Because I know that when you throw a backhand, that is traditionally one of your misses. Is
Throwing at the ground?
Depending on the day, I feel like you're either like dialed or you are straight in the ground.
Yeah.
all day.
Every time we play, at least once around, my husband does up, Abby, up. Throw it up.
Trust me, I played a lot of rounds with Abby at this point. I can confirm. With the forehand, the nice thing is that becomes a little easier. Because we can sort of, when we're tracing, thinking about tracing, we can trace up a little bit. What I don't want you to do is I don't want you to think about like leaning back to throw up. I want to stay on top of it so that we're firing, but just adjusting our aiming point without leaning back away from the shot, because that's going to create the disc to go nose up a lot more where we're doing this, which is going to cause it to not go as far. So what we're going to try here is I want you to practice that we're not trying to go perfectly flat, maybe a little bit of a dip, and give them some height. And let's see what we can do. So for aiming points, because I think that was big for you, was having an aiming point so you aren't just like free willy throwing the disc out there like. So if we're trying to get max distance down this fairway, obviously the trees, we're gonna end up in the trees. Like it's just gonna happen. I'm fine with that. I would in fact love for you to end up in the trees because
That's pretty far.
the trees are pretty far. As we're going to launch out into the field, where would you say your aiming point is if you want to see the disc kind of get some movement? Where would you pick?
Probably that big tree just straight ahead.
Okay. I
But
like,
that feels like it would fade right.
it would. It's very straight.
Yeah.
So I would aim either at the basket or I would aim at there's 2 bushes left of that tree. I would aim at the leftmost bush.
I'll aim at the basket.
Okay.
Like that's easy.
All right.
And so you're saying kind of flat but slight hyzer?
Slight hyzer. Just
Mostly
because for
focusing on
several
going
of
up.
these, like some of these, you're going to be able to throw pretty flat. But we remember the reason that we practice firing the wrist low and doing this is because if you come through flat, if you get on top of it at all and you fire the wrist with a non-overstable disc, it isn't going to have the chop to fight out of it.
Oh wait, okay.
That's
basket.
phenomenal. That was a great height. That was a great angle. You're right though. It was just aimed to the wrong spot. That is pretty phenomenal. I would say almost all the fairway drivers you can go somewhat flat.
Okay.
Okay, so that one, you didn't go flat, you went over.
Yep.
Yeah. There it is. That is a mush. That's a mush. Abby, these are great. That was the exact opposite. That was high, which is good. Maybe a little too high.
Okay.
How we're adjusting this is, remember, if you have more wrist speed, but Abby, that's so good.
Okay.
Like, that's not like bad that it went that way because it came out with so much gusto.
Okay.
I'm fine with that. Just nothing else was there. Abby.
Yeah.
Abby.
That one worked good.
That one worked phenomenal. Not even good, Abby. Come on. Credit yourself. Come on. She's dialed, ladies and gentlemen. She's dialed. That was excellent.
Was it? It felt like it.
It did go the wrong way, but why did it go the wrong way?
Well, because I didn't release the angle right.
Correct, but you had so much more in it.
Right.
So if you're gonna fire like that, that's fine. How do we adjust? We drop the
Just
angle
drop
a little
it.
bit. Yep,
Okay.
same thing, but drop the arm a little bit.
Okay. I had overcorrection.
Yeah, but it was pure Hyzer the whole time, which I'm great with. Abby!
That felt good.
I hope so. It looked good. There it is. That's gonna fight out in everything.
Okay.
That could be it. That could be it. Because the difference between those two shots, what was the difference between those two shots in your mind?
Well, that one I was trying to focus more on Hyzer, and then
Okay.
it just, I thought I was releasing it like that.
Yeah.
No wrist though, is that what you're?
No, torso.
Okay.
I said lean into it because
Oh,
when
I'll
you're
bet.
when you're doing this, the only problem I have with your foot forward method is that your foot forward method, you can tell, starts you backwards.
Okay.
So if I step into it and I stay backwards, whereas if I'm back here, I'm fine with that. If you come through
Okay.
chest forward, chest over top of it. So let's see. Here we go. 2, 3, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. 23 feet?
We're so close to our goal.
123, but I tell you, this wasn't the farthest.
Oh, okay.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 7, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Shadow Fax is right next to it. We are crazy close, almost at 150. We're gonna scoop them. We're gonna go one more go at some of the drivers to see really get after it. And then we're going to throw a couple zones, call it a
Okay.
day. How's that sound?
Okay. Okay. I'm starting to like,
Starting to feel the fatigue.
well, I'm starting to over.
Yep. Well, no, I'm fine with over. I'm fine with over because we can fix over by coming under.
Right.
Okay? Yes.
Oh, it felt more spinny.
It did. It looked like it had a lot more purpose.
There we go.
Okay, you might be a sail guy.
I might be a sail gal.
That's fine, Abby. That's fine. Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 40, 41, 42, 43, but about 3 feet farther, Grace.
Okay.
It was 43 to the sail, and that was, like I said, about 3 feet farther. So we're about 46 feet,
Okay.
or 46 steps, which is almost 150.
Okay.
All right, Abby, how are we feeling?
Good.
Do we feel like we gained a forehand today?
I definitely feel like we're at the beginning stages of gaining a good, consistent forehand. Like it's there.
Yeah.
It, like you said, it's just going to take reps and practice, which is something I'm not good at.
Totally fair.
So I think that I can see the potential.
Yeah.
And it's going to be up to me if I stick to it.
Yeah. Would you say that if you stepped up to a course and a shot asked for 120, 130 foot forehand, that you would feel comfortable trying to throw that on the course right now?
Yes, right this second, I think if we went to, I don't know, if we went to the Gardendale hole 11 that we were talking about, and I was able to consistently get it like faded where it needed to be.
Okay.
I don't know about 150 consistently though.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's room for potential improvement, things like that. So yeah, I 100%, I'm with you. I think it's great. Y'all, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this helps. Like I said, this is the start of forehand week. So this is getting you off the ground, getting you rolling. And we have another video on forehands coming out on Thursday. So I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Please make it fantastic for someone else too. But for now,
I'll leave you with the birdie.